Live from the bunker will not be seen this week so that we may bring you the following special program.
In place of a Dark Lord, you would have a queen! Not dark, but beautiful and terrible as the dawn! Treacherous as the sea! Stronger than the foundations of the earth! All shall love me and despair!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dead from the Dugout, the Live from the Bunker replacement show, the show that we do when Jason is not around to help him out. And I'm your host, Science Fiction Snob, your Dark Queen, Love Me and Despair. Now, let me introduce my co-host, the man with the plan. It's Cam, and say hello, Cam.
Good afternoon, everyone. Entertainment lovers everywhere.
Good afternoon. And also, let's introduce Madman, who is our resident expert on science fiction and pop culture news, and he's gonna be running the show pretty much today. I'm just gonna be sitting back and being lazy because that's what I do best. Madman.
Good afternoon, everybody, from NYC, where we are at 84 degrees today.
Uh-oh.
And we will not hold that against you being in New York City, right?
No.
We promise.
Well, we're on Staten Island. So.
Oh, okay. Is that a good place?
Oh, that's a good
so
thing.
Allowed,
you're
allowed to be
Staten Island, the bastard child. Of New York,
oh, right.
So.
It's not really New York.
It's not really New York.
All right. So it's okay to like Staten Island. All right. I don't really know these things. I'm from, out west in Canada, so we don't know these sort of things. All right. Who's in the chat today? We've got Death Angel Shadows in the chat. He's also on our Babylon 5 program. Yeah, good to see you. Greg C, who says, I'm not sure I consider myself discerning, but I am absolutely a sci-fi fan. Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, you're discerning. If you're here, you're discerning. And of course, like Death Angel Shadow says, don't forget to like and subscribe. Yeah. Michael's here. We're working on something with Michael in the future, Cam and I. Yeah. We do something anime related. We're gonna just keep it hush hush for now, but that's not that big of a secret. But yeah, that's it. Did I forget anybody? That's it. That's everyone else. Anyone else is hiding in the chat. Yeah. Do you guys have anything before we start the show proper? Cam, anything you want to complain about?
No.
You're in a good mood today?
I still don't have my car back, but
of course. So you're not.
You
so
don't
you're
got that iced tea insurance, huh?
Iced tea insurance. Oh yeah. Yeah. This is have you pay everything for your car? Yeah. I'm a little pissed off at my kids not doing what they're supposed to be doing all the time, but I don't think anyone wants to hear about that. It's pretty typical for teenager type children. Gonna ask them 10,000 times to do something. Yeah, I'll do it. No problem. It's not done yet. It's been an hour. It's been 2 hours. It's been 5 hours. It's been your whole life
now.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, it's worse when you have girls. So, well, in some ways, but anyway. Greg C says we like everyone on the channel, even the Canadians. Well, I appreciate that, though I might not be Canadian for much longer. Based on what's going around politically, but yeah, we appreciate that.
Michael, you couldn't hide sharp objects from me if you tried. I'm surrounded by them,
and he's always collecting them as well. Todd must be wasting away while Jason did. Yeah, he pretty much is already all wasted away. Greg is complaining about the fact that I can't watch The Last Starfighter without having to pay an additional streaming fee. Pissed me off. Would that be off? I would think that would be available on the Internet Archive. I would think.
I think it's cheap online on Amazon.
Yeah, but I mean, for like if you're don't want to pay for it, and might not have that streaming service, I think you probably, we've been, watching a bunch of 80s movies from the on the Internet Archive. I would guess it's probably there if you don't mind watching it on your screen and stuff. If you're really that
YouTube, Apple TV, they're all charging.
Yeah, but Internet Archive is free. Yeah, so we might be able to find it there. It's one of the movies I've been thinking about for our watch party. But I would think it would be free there, but I'm not sure. I haven't checked.
I saw that on the big screen when it first came out. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I think we were just at the right age to watch movies. I think a lot of us probably saw that then. Yeah. All right. Okay. I think we've 6 minutes in. I think we've wasted enough time. There's enough time for people to jump in, not to miss anything. I don't know. Do you want to get Madman?
Let's get started here.
Let's get going.
Share my screen here. And I want to start off with, let's see.
Greg, never heard of the Internet Archives. No idea what it is. All right. Maybe we'll talk about it at the end.
There we go. Let's start with that.
All right.
And
oh my goodness, I'm scared. Holy, what the is
I know you guys the other day talked about this, and I have to throw my 2 cents in because some of the things that weren't brought up. This whole Doctor Who thing is just totally batshit insane. I mean, this is the fall of the BBC network itself. This is like the third, and I said this in the chat. This is the third time they've pulled something like this. Back in the Peter Davison era, when Colin Baker was a character on Gallifrey as a guard, and then when Peter Davison left, they replaced it with Colin Baker. And then they did the same thing when they with Peter Capaldi. He was a Roman citizen, not Roman citizen. He was a Pompeii citizen, and basically he replaced Matt. And then now we got this, Billy Piper, this whole situation. But I mean, they've just lost it totally. I mean, you get rid of two of the villains in this story, like next to nothing. You get rid of the Ronnie, which is a great character. I mean, before her death, Ronnie, the actress that was playing the Ronnie, she was dying for them to use her again. And they never got the chance to do it because she passed away. But, her character is fantastic. They just literally, insulted the character. It's the same way they did with the Master. And then they bring in, the pyramid gods. I forgot his name already. Who basically they already killed off in Pyramids of Mars with Tom Baker, the Tom Baker doctor on that. I mean, there was no way he was going to come back, and they brought him back anyway because he was sent to the way beyond our existence, where basically he was left to die. And it just basically, there was no way coming back through time on that. But yeah, Sutek, thank you. Sutek, there was no way of bringing him back. He was already gone by the time at the end of the Pyramids of Mars. And then they just brought him back like a dinosaur thing, creature, whatever the hell that was. I mean, literally, this show, I have stopped watching when they brought it, right after Capaldi. I just literally, I dropped the show off at that point. I still watch the classics, and I love the classic shows. I grew up with this. I mean, the first episode I ever watched was back on Channel 9 here in New York City, WWOR, when they used to show it on Saturday afternoon. And it was the first episode that I saw was Robot, which was the first episode with Tom Baker. That's how I was introduced into the Doctor Who universe.
Hold on. Maybe we might just there might be people watching the show who might not know why we're looking at this hideous face.
Yeah.
So maybe we should just go what's going on with Doctor Who? I mean,
basically Billy Piper, who was a character,
and that's her. This is her right here,
right there, on the screen. For a couple seasons with the first two Doctor Who's in the reincarnation Doctor Who's. She was one of the main characters on there. Then they wrote her off. Now they're bringing her back as the Doctor, and it's just like,
right.
So what happens if he bump? What happens if she
was Rose for the first couple of seasons, right?
Yeah, first couple of seasons from the episode Rose on.
Well,
yeah, I remember her. I watched those.
have you guys heard the reports that this is maybe not, this was kind of just a last minute thing that Davies threw in there, and we don't know what this really is. I mean, we all assume. I mean, you see the regeneration and everything, but that it's less than 100%, or at least some
I've
people
heard
think
that
so.
that it's less than
Well,
100%, and I
you
think
go back to Christopher Erickson, which was the first one in the new incarnation with Rose.
yeah.
When he left the show, that he was at some convention, and they asked him, "Would you come back?" And he says, "The only way I'm going to come back is they get rid of everybody in that writing staff, including the production, which this is the current producer right now.
Yeah.
He said, you got to get rid of all of them, and I'll consider coming back."
So he doesn't like that.
Oh, this was years ago. This was years ago before this.
Yeah.
So we knew it was a problem coming into this season.
I suspect that the show is doing, the show has been just nosediving. I suspect that this is a little bit of trolling at the end of the season to try to get themselves a little bit of, buzz about it. And I'm not sure whether they I could be wrong. They could have decided to do this already, but I think they kind of just threw this out there, and they may do it or they may not do it depending on the, it's the old running up the flagpole, see who salutes.
Well,
but I don't know that this is, they might be, 50, 90% to do this, but I think it's kind of like, let's see what happens, because we're dying here. We got to do something.
Exactly. And they have things like the holiday specials they do. And, okay, let's say they do it. It might be for one episode. And, bait and switch, there you are.
I think Death Angel Shadow's right. They didn't say introducing Billie Piper as a doctor, or they haven't announced that she's going to, blah, blah, blah. It could just be some sort of, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
they're doing the same thing as what they did with David Tennant. I mean, come on. It's really, you have to remember the ratings numbers for this is literally down in the CW territory.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're talking below 1.5. We're getting to like in the million or the 100,000s.
Yeah,
at that point,
super low.
You had shows on the CW that were like 300,000 viewers, and they were still running the show. It is like they just now can't. In fact, CW is just now canceling the last show in the original roster. The last show, All American, I think it was called. Yeah, that one is finally getting its swan song.
My understanding of this Doctor Who is this season is that some of the lowest rated episodes ever, and it's just like they should have canceled it long ago. But again, so I think they're just sort of like, maybe we'll just do this, maybe get some buzz.
Well, yeah.
I don't know that they've decided what to do. Like they don't. Because normally they'll announce the next Doctor and they'll be this big thing. We pick this person. They do all kinds of press. They don't, right? Like they don't keep it usually, right?
Well, the thing is, also you're dealing, besides the BBC network, you're dealing with Disney, which is another half of this equation, and then you're dealing with Ofcom. Ofcom is what I call the censorship board in the United Kingdom. If Ofcom doesn't like it, it ain't going to go on air. I mean, they've already eliminated like Little Britain, if you know that show from HBO. It originally ran in the UK. They've canceled a lot of the episodes off that TV show. I mean, just because they didn't like it. Yes, it's controversial, but
yeah,
it's still they are literally a censorship board.
Now, my understanding of Doctor Who is that, I mean, any normal time it would be canceled because of the so low popularity, but because Disney has a contract, they're probably going to carry on with another season. That's kind of what my understanding is, but I don't know. What do you think, Madman? Is that what you've heard, or you're closer to these things
it's a Disney contract.
So they're going to make it no matter what, right?
Yeah, they're going to make it no matter what. You've seen how, I think we talked about it last night, in the green room, Andor, 600 million for on Andor, and we're on season 2, and I think it's garbage, Yeah, Jeff saying Ofcom is the equivalent of the FCC in the UK, for those of you who don't know, and that is correct, but a little bit more than that, Jeff, a little bit more. I've been covering stories on Ofcom, and the things that they're doing to broadcast television in the United Kingdom is just, it's atrocious.
Well, generally, the UK has been more censorious than other Western democracies like Canada and especially the United States and stuff. They seem to be farther down that censorship road, so it wouldn't be surprising to me that they are, more than the FCC in that sense. But anyway.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
So-
Doctor Who's been canceled before. When you had the Sylvester McCoy, which it started to drift off there, and then that's when we jumped into the Doctor Who movie, which was done by Spielberg's company, and then that didn't do too well on Fox. And then we got the Christopher Eccleston Doctor Who on there, which that just boosted it back up again.
Yeah. All right.
After Capaldi on that. But
Okay.
let me get into
hold on. Michael says that the Disney contract is done. I thought it was still ongoing and that they were going to make. I don't know. Is anybody?
No, I think it's still going.
Is that true or not? Oh, Michael says it's done. I don't know. We have to double check that, I guess.
Because
I thought it was still ongoing. That's why one of the reasons why they didn't care that the show was so it's very low.
Yeah,
ratings.
Michael, if the contract was done, there would be no more episodes because literally Disney is the one flipping the bill for it. I mean, they may say it's done, but they may have already paid for the episodes already, and they just haven't gone through the episodes at all.
Yeah. That was my understanding was that they still hadn't fulfilled. I mean, the contract is there. They haven't fulfilled the contract yet. They owe them more episodes, so they were going to make them come hell or high water because
Disney's already
paid for them. But I'm not sure. I didn't go into it that deep.
But let's switch over to something a little bit more enjoyable. Now,
That's scary.
Yeah, it's scary. Now,
it's
one
kind of a
thing
scary picture, man. I mean, that's you're not doing her any favors using that. I mean, she's not she's 42, right? Like Jeff said, she's 42. She's not an ugly woman, but let's not make don't make it.
And you remember her last big role. I mean, she's done some stuff in between. Her last big role is she played a prostitute. That series, Call Girl, that she did for what is it? Was it a season or two that she had done? So there was like some nudity involved in situations. It was attracted by a lot of the Doctor Who fans at that point.
Let me say something controversial. I think she's creepy. I think she's always been very creepy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, other people are gaga over her, but
I'm trying to be nice and say that she's not ugly. She might be creepy, but she's not a I mean, this makes her look weird, really.
Well,
weird, she's not she's not an ugly woman. She's
I'm being nice as well.
She's being she's in the upper half of attractiveness for women in the world. I would say
okay,
but I mean she was on she was on TV.
Sure.
I mean, it was her 20s, but they don't usually pick ugly people for TV usually, but not always.
Makeup hides a lot of.
True.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Sorry.
No problem.
So let's get a little cleansing of the palate on this and move on to this. Now, normally in this time period, with CGI, with action films and fantasy and all that, you don't get films that were done the way they used to be. Now, Tubi TV this month, actually just opened this month, is running one of the best films by one of the greatest directors of all time, Akira Kurosawa. If you haven't seen it, it's really good. It's Ron. If you haven't seen that movie, it's based on King Lear. And this is one of the last movies in hang on a second. Share that. There we go. Basically, one of the last movies that literally did not use CGI. They hired 1,500 extras to do the battle scene, and over 1,500 horses. So it was like this is nothing. When you watch Game of Thrones and all that, and some of it was shot on horseback, real horseback. The rest were done CGI. This was completely done in real, no special effects, nothing like that. I mean, they literally burnt down a temple in this movie, an old temple that was just basically deserted, and they literally burnt it down in the movie itself. And let's bring that one up. Did I share it? Hold on. I think I just. Oh, there we go. Literally, this is if you haven't seen this, take a gander on this. The scenery is phenomenal. It's a little slow in the beginning, but once it gets to the battle scenes, well worth the watch. I mean, this is something, you don't see in filmmaking anymore. Stuff shot like this. And it's well worth the watch. And it's well worth getting it on physical media if you can.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'm really I like Japanese culture. I find it fascinating. This would be a show that I would probably be interested in.
Yeah. You have
And
to
of course,
remember
Kurosawa is always great. Like,
remember Kurosawa gave us the Magnificent Seven.
Exactly. Yeah.
And many other films,
Yeah. He's, well-known director, very highly regarded for sure.
Legend.
Yeah, that's probably the,
Yep, exactly. But yeah, this is right now, Tubi TV. It's free. Click on it, enjoy it. It's well worth it. And we got some breaking news.
Oh, hold on, just before you go there, I'll just go back to the doctor. Real quick, I'm just looking up an article while you're. It says here in this article that the original deal between the BBC and Disney was estimated to cost around $100 million, was for 2 seasons of the show plus the specials. So that appears like I think that they've fulfilled it. But again, later on, it says there's a report in a newspaper saying that Disney is expected to pull the deal, which kind of implies that it's maybe they have this much and then they can extend it. So they're not going to extend. I don't know, but talking about pulling the deal too. So
I would not be shocked if they pulled the deal.
Both seem to right. The deal's complete, but they can still pull it. So that's a little bit. All right. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, we got some breaking news right now, which I don't know if it's good or bad, which I think it's bad on there. If those of you haven't seen this is a great film from back in the 80s. It is Kiss of the Spider-Woman. It's William Hurt, Raul Julia, Sonia Braga. Fantastic movie. If you haven't caught this movie yet, do catch it. Now, supposedly, there is a remake coming out, which was just announced. The trailer has been announced. Starring Diego Luna and Jennifer Lopez. And it's a musical.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. This was never originally a musical. Yes, they did put this on Broadway in the 90s as a musical, but the original story itself was a drama based on a novel. And this is supposed to be coming out like in October. Has Hollywood not learned their lessons from musicals in theatrical release? I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, this is a fantastic movie. Now they've turned it inside out. Now, I do have the trailer, but unfortunately, because of the music, we will probably be copyright claimed, so we can't play it. That's the only drawback on it. So basically, those of you out there, it's on Twitter out there. I think YouTube already has it available, so do check it out. But it is just as cringy as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, they keep remaking things. I said this earlier. If remaking something, if you made it first time and it sucked, hey, remake it for sure. Do a better job. But if something's really good already, do you really need to remake it? We need more. We've got to make sure we have cell phones in it instead, because there was no cell phones when we made this in 1970, whatever. Who cares? Can't we watch an old film and enjoy it? I don't know.
They just want to change. They just want to change everything. It's just literally they want to change. See, that was the problem with West Side Story. It was basically West Side Story was like a Romeo and Juliet, and it was a dark type situation. And then it was Spielberg. Spielberg did the new one, right? It was the new version was bright and fanciful and all that. And it's like that wasn't the original West Side Story. Everyone didn't look like that. Everybody it was kids on the street. That basically had their issues. And this was like everybody be happy. That's all that was in the West Side Story. But it's a tragedy. The original story itself.
Well, yeah, I mean, Romeo and Juliet is a tragedy.
Yeah, exactly. And they're changing that as well. I think there was something coming out that was just literally they changed the entire story, like what they did with Snow White.
I mean, I think it's just they just lack any creativity. And it's funny because I think there's a lot of creative stuff out there. There's a lot of people who are doing creative things. It's just that the big studios like Disney don't want to take a risk on them. I guess this is kind of a discussion for another show, a big discussion about that. But that's kind of my feeling about it. It seems to be that way. I don't know.
Now, speaking of creative, what do you guys think of Wes Anderson movies?
Rushmore is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Ah, yeah, one of mine's also. What about any of the other ones, the real obscured ones?
I haven't seen all of them. I've generally liked them, but to varying degrees.
Would you buy it on Blu-ray?
I haven't. I've bought some, not on Blu-ray, but on DVD. Before Blu-ray, I have bought some of his movies.
Well, coming out very soon by Criterion. Criterion has done a remaster, and they are releasing a Wes Anderson archive box set. 10 films, 25 years, all the films, including the claymation animated films, Dog's Island and everything like that. But here's the situation. There's the price point. $400.
Oh,
is that American dollars?
That's American.
Oh my.
Original price is $500.
If it was Canadian, yes. But
no, U.S. Coming out
if it was
September
Canadian,
30th.
you wouldn't have to. You'd be like $20.
Yeah,
American.
that's a little high for. I mean, again, 10 movies. That's $40 a piece. That's pushing it.
And if you see the picture below, they put them all in books, like you have a book set.
Oh, so it's kind of fancy.
Yeah, it's kind of fancy on there. Each individual disc is inside on there, and like I said, you're getting all the current films from beginning to end, except for the latest one, because the latest one actually is just hitting theaters now. Excuse me. And of course, it wouldn't be on this collection, but it's 4K and Blu-ray editions on there. 20 discs, $400. I mean, that is just an insane price for something of this nature.
Yeah, I'd probably pass. I do have Rushmore and Royal Tenenbaums, the Criterion collections, I believe, but again, before Blu-ray.
And if you think that is insane, how can I put this?
Oh, well, deluxe cloth bound edition. Oh, that's
the Beatles are back in the news, and there was a box set they had, which was basically 14 LP collection, and it's being re-released again for well over $500.
I'll definitely pass on that.
Yeah, physical media, they're just throwing everything out at you. And the thing about it, here's the funny part about it is, this is in pre-sale right now. It's sold out in pre-sale.
Wow. I mean, they're like us. They're like, physical media is the way to go because they'll censor everything, and so cashing in on that, I guess.
Yeah, this is the second printing of this. Because the original printing they ran out a while back, and it hasn't been back in stock for quite some time. Now the company that's handling this is re-releasing it once again, but they're like, it was $545. That was the price point on it. I mean, would you pay $545 for 14 LPs?
Seems pretty high.
That's pretty high. I mean, I can understand
$40 an LP, roughly.
Yeah, if I would understand if it's like $150, $200, I would understand it. But over $500, if you're paying tax, that goes into the $600 range. I mean, come on, this has been insane now. I mean, there have been some box sets that are coming out that have been well priced, and then there are others that they just like taking advantage because you're getting the reboost of physical media now. Everywhere out there, you got conventions now that are out there that are selling VHS, cassettes, LPs, DVDs, and the last time we talked, Mr. Snob,
Mhm.
you had bought a couple of the
Please,
Star Wars.
please. You can just call me Snob. I think we're
Oh,
friendly.
okay,
You know,
okay,
like
okay,
just call me Snob.
okay.
You don't have to be so
No,
formal. Anyway,
I'm
go ahead.
respectable, but
I
you
understand.
remember
I appreciate that.
yeah, you had bought what was it, Star Wars? Was it?
Yeah, the original Star Wars for 50 cents
Yeah,
from
Very-
a garage sale. I mean,
yeah,
I
from
haven't looked
garage.
at it. It could be, it could be a horrible. It could be worn out and everything. But you know, anyway,
Oh,
yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, but these prices are just like insane. They're just taking advantage of everybody to that point.
Yeah, it does
And
seem a little bit over the top, but
that seems to be over the top, and it's unbelievable.
I
You
mean,
know,
but listen, if you're selling the Beatles box set and you sold it for $500 and you ran out, you're like, oh, how many should we print? Let's print 1,000. We probably never sell that many. And then you sold them out. You'd be like, holy crap! I mean, maybe we should charge more. Like, I mean, why wouldn't you? Right? People are buying it.
yeah, they are buying it. Honestly, Tower Records is back somewhat. Here in New York, they have like a small little outlet store, and then of course in Japan, Tower Records still exists fully. And online as well. I mean, unfortunately, there's a record store here in New York in Bensonhurst that's going out of business. And it's the only like Italian record store that has everything like Italian language, and it's going out of business. The only reason it's going out of business is the matriarch had passed away, and then the whole COVID situation hurt their business, and it hasn't recovered after COVID.
Yeah.
People are not coming in, and of course, the neighborhood is changing. So basically, people are not coming in the store looking for Italian opera or Italian music anymore, like it used to be. And they used to do gangbusters of business in that area, but not anymore now. It's a shame. It's
Yeah.
a shame. You know.
Uh,
Meanwhile, you have other record stores and bookstores starting to reopen back in again. Barnes and Noble is redesigning their stores,
yeah.
top to bottom. Each Barnes and Noble will not be the same Barnes and Noble in each neighborhood.
Interesting.
Speaking
strategy.
of that, I am happy to see Barnes and Noble making a comeback. That's a good thing.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, what is it? The one in Washington D.C., 3 floors, which shut down a couple of years ago, is being reopened.
Well,
Right.
that's really, I mean, that sounds positive what you guys are saying, but in Canada, we really only have one big chain bookstore called Indigo. And, I go in there and I'm just like, there's hardly, the science fiction section is tiny. They sell
Well,
all kinds of other things except books. They're
Yeah.
very much, they've
that's
I
another
don't,
issue.
I don't find it interesting at all. I
Mhm.
mean, I would, I only usually only go to used or independently owned bookstores, but there's very few of those. But I would love to see it come back here, like you're talking about, opening up a books, coming back and just doing books and stuff. But
It
Yeah.
probably might. I mean, we have smaller bookstores out here in NYC that are starting to expand. Like there's one store, if you ever heard of it, if you ever come to New York, the Strand. The Strand is one of the best bookstores next to Barnes and Noble that you can go to. You can buy books as low as a couple of cents, 5 cents, 10 cents on there, because they have like on the outside they have books that are outdated that basically they're not going to get rid of, and they sell it for next to nothing. But they starting to expand to other branches, and then they just took over. There was another classic bookstore called the Shakespearean Bookstore, which had several locations, and they're going out of business. So Strand has come in and bought their properties out, and they're putting their stores, replacing the Shakespearean Book Company with their stores on there. So that you've seen an expansion on Strand, and considering that Strand was in financial trouble a couple of years ago during the COVID era, and we thought that Strand might shut down, and basically they were able to pick up right after it.
That's good. It's good news.
Yep, that is good news. And speaking of more good news, you guys saw the last Godzilla movie.
Sorry, the last Godzilla.
Godzilla movie. Godzilla
Minus one,
minus
you mean,
one.
or which one
Yeah.
you mean?
Oh yeah,
Godzilla minus one.
yep,
Minus one.
absolutely.
We talked about it. We both enjoyed that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's another reason why you might want to kick back to the movie theaters. Very soon, they're about to re-release another Godzilla movie back into the theaters in 4K. Now, some people have some opinions of it, some good, some bad, but what we got here is Shin Godzilla is coming back with a new edition uh, to theaters very soon.
Okay, I did see this movie, not in the theater though.
Yeah, it is a really, really good movie. I liked it. I enjoyed it. This is directed by Hideki Anano. If you're not sure, know who he is, if you're familiar with the great anime Neon Genesis Evangelion, he's the one who's behind the scenes on that one as well. And this version of Godzilla, I mean, you said you saw it, Cam, right?
Mhm.
It's an interesting version of this. What about you, Snob? Have you seen this one?
I don't think. I mean, I'm most familiar with the Hollywood versions, ones that come out. I love minus one. I've always
Mhm.
shied away from Godzilla movies because they've been, especially the recent ones have been all this flashy and pretty garbagey in my view.
You're talking about the legendary one. The legendary.
Is the usual,
Yeah.
the CG,
Yeah.
the full CGI. It's barely a movie, but yeah, I haven't been impressed with that. Minus one was great. I don't think I've seen this one. I think I would like to see it if it's more of a classic Japanese style, like more like minus one.
It's a
in
Japanese
that
style
sense.
taken on a new perspective of the Godzilla, um, basically itself on how he became to be. And also the other half of this is the politics of the politicians that are
heavily.
trying to destroy Godzilla,
Yeah.
and he just gets caught in red tape.
Is Godzilla just sort of misunderstood and he's really a nice guy?
No.
No.
This is to
Okay,
the
good.
point where Godzilla is born in an unusual way, and you see the mutations happen throughout the movie. He
Yeah,
continues to mutate.
right. He starts out and he's just like this dopey,
Yeah.
Like a salamander or something.
He's like he's creepy as hell.
Yeah,
And
it is.
it's just literally like, oh, what is that? And that's what turned some people away from it. And said, what the hell did they do to Godzilla? But what they didn't realize is that basically Godzilla moves on and evolves throughout the entire movie to
super
this
quickly.
point. Yeah,
It-
to this
I mean,
point, you see
that
this
sounds like
picture.
a good movie. I mean, my favorite parts of minus one was the whole, the background we're getting about the Japanese culture and, the political aspects and, how the
Well,
characters are dealing with things after the war, war they lost.
Well,
that's the best part.
In my opinion, Godzilla minus one is far better as a movie than Shin Godzilla.
Oh, is it?
For
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's not to say this one's bad, but this one is almost. I mean, it's almost a send up of politicians. I mean,
Yeah.
because I mean, like he mentioned, they're just bumbling fools for so much of it. I mean, and of course it is an extreme situation, but it's just like, oh, this thing's happening, and they're like, okay, well, we're gonna have our meeting and deal with it, and it's just like nobody here. I mean, there are like the protagonists basically get it, but most of everyone else doesn't. And it's like it's very clear that they're poor actions, just not meeting the moment is, a huge part of the movie.
And that's, and that's kind of, I know that the traditional movie people are like, oh, we like to watch Godzilla destroy things, and everybody likes to see that stuff, but that is not, like that's not as interesting to me as the. I mean, it's Godzilla, right? He's just going to go and smash things. He's not going to sit down and talk about, politics or hey, what about the, right? It's not going to be any deep.
Well, yeah,
it's not that deep. But that, this sounds like this should appeal to me. It would be interesting. I love minus one.
Well,
it's not quite as good, but still, it sounds interesting. Is it called Shin Godzilla or just Godzilla?
It's called Shin Godzilla. There is a Japanese release Blu-ray on this, but now they're going to be with the theatrical release, which is in August 14th to be exact. It's hitting the theaters again.
So it's a re-release.
It's a re-release,
Yeah,
but a new 4K update on this film, and basically there will be a 4K release on this for North America. which wasn't available before. Before they had like two versions of it. One was pure just Japanese itself, and then they had the one with the English dub, but it was mostly from Japanese label. Now they're just basically going to be pulling it full out, and the company behind this is still Toho, which they've already bought out a company called J Kids. J Kids is literally Toho's footstep into the U.S. as far as movies like this, kaiju, and the anime industry. So this is meant to compete. This company, J Kids, is meant to compete with Sony and Crunchyroll.
Yeah. That's an interesting comment Michael has. I actually experienced, this was years ago, but I experienced some of the Japanese obsession with consensus, and it was quite interesting for me. That's another story.
Was it when you were imprisoned in Japan?
No, it was not.
Oh.
It was not about my time being in prison in Japan. It was a different thing.
Okay.
But yeah. I don't need to go into that stuff now. I mean,
now there was what was it? Tuesday. You guys were talking about Frankenstein.
well, no, Gojira mentioned it.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, Green Girl.
Green Girl.
Gojira was Green Girl mentioned and brought it up and wanted to,
Yeah, I did watch the trailer.
Yeah, so let's take a quick look at the trailer for those of who haven't seen this yet. See if the audio works. Hopefully,
I'm hearing it. Seems to be coming through.
I had determined that the memory of my evils should die with me. Some of what I will tell you is fact. Some is not.
I'm going to stop that for a minute. Of course, so just in case the Netflix gods get a little angry. You notice that it always seems to be a narration in the last couple of Frankenstein movies. It never jumps in I'm a fan of the original Universal monsters, and basically, that split in just make the monster do everything like that. The monster attacks down there, and then the villagers go crazy, and I enjoy something like that. Now we're just going into consensus of let me tell you the story how I felt when I created the monster. I don't know if people feel good about it or bad about that situation.
That's pretty true to the novel.
It is. It is pretty true to the novel, but some of these guys don't just get it right. Now, nothing against Guillermo del Toro. I love his work. His stuff is fantastic. But let's continue on with this.
But it is all true. What manner of creature is that? What manner of devil made him? I did. I had a vision. An idea took shape.
And I'm going to stop it again in their moment. You ever notice the music's all the same now? On all these horror films now. Now I know, Snob, you don't watch horror films. You're not a horror guy.
Too scary. Yeah, too scary.
Yeah. But
I do watch some, but it's not my go-to.
Yeah, but you see that it's like, you hear the ticking clock go tick, tick.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, who's making these trailers lately? I mean, it's just, and you're giving a lot out of this trailer.
See, I might watch this movie. I'm more of the the classic blood and guts horror, right? Like it just doesn't have any appeal to me. So that like that, this is more suspenseful, right?
Is this horror or is it sci-fi? Haha. See?
Oh no,
did there?
Yeah. But this is and this is more of a like as opposed to when I think of horror, this is more of like suspense, right? Thriller.
Yeah, probably more toward the suspense thriller.
I'm just not. I'm not interested in copious amounts of blood and people being cut up. It just doesn't do anything for me, unless I'm 17 and I've got a girl that I like, and I want to take her to the movies, and I want her to be able to give her a kiss or something. Or if it's really, really done over the top so that it's a parody, then it might be funny. But
Yeah, unlike my
that's
wife
personal.
who just screams every time there's like she goes, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
Every time there's a scary part. All right, let's continue on.
In my mind, inevitable, unavoidable, until it became truth.
Some nice shots, it seems.
Right, it is.
In seeking life, I created death.
So that seems a little more closer to like Cam said, to the original, right? Where it's Frankenstein is the monster. Dr. Frankenstein is the monster, right? Like he's created this horrible thing.
The thing, it's like I said, this is on Netflix coming out, and I see Christopher Waltz is in this one too. What, who's playing the monster? It's gonna be like Jacob LD probably playing the monster on that. But I'm wondering because the sets look familiar. There was an AMC show.
Oh, are you talking about the Terror?
The Terror, yes. Doesn't it
Ugh.
look like
It
the
does.
scenery from the-
I had the exact same thought when I was like, "Oh, that's familiar and frightening," because that show was horrific.
Oh, yeah.
Really terrifying.
Yeah, because I mean, stuck at the top of the world, on a boat, and the boat can't go anywhere, and you got you don't have the supplies you need to survive in the middle of a blistering cold, and you don't know what
Mhm.
is out there. It's just like it was good. I didn't like that they changed the story, to a different story in the second season.
Mhm.
They went with something from Asia,
Yeah, it was like a totally different.
totally different story. You didn't expect the Terror to go out, that particular story to go beyond season one. I don't know if you saw that one, Snob, on AMC.
No, I didn't.
I'm not a huge horror fan either, but man, it was effective. It was really. It's like, it didn't keep me up at night, but it came close. It's like one of those kinds of things. Horrible.
Yeah.
Oh my god. In multiple angles. It's not just like, oh, bad thing. It goes deep into the horrors of mankind. It's worth watching.
It sort of almost reminds me of the other one where the soccer team that got stuck on the mountain.
Oh yeah, Alive.
Yeah.
Alive, yeah. I remember when that first came out. That was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that was
On there.
gut-wrenching.
But one thing about the Frankenstein, and I like there's some of them out there. I didn't pull the tab on this one, but there is one out there that is well worth watching, and it's called Frankenstein Unbound. If you have not seen that movie,
No.
and yeah, it's really good. I can't pull it up here, but I'm going to pull it up on my other screen here. So I can tell you the cast. Frankenstein Unbound. I haven't seen it in a bit, and I've been meaning to get it on Blu-ray. And basically, it stars Raul Julia, John Hurt, Bridget Fonda, Nick Brimble plays the monster. Jason Patrick is in this. It takes to a point, and this is literally might want to do for a science fiction, because it is a science fiction. John Hurt plays a scientist in the present day, and he creates a weapon that basically would eliminate an enemy and just doesn't kill them, but sends them to another dimension. And what happens is the weapon itself overloads, and it sends him in his futuristic car back in time to the time of Frankenstein, at the point where Victor has already made the creature and it's roaming throughout there. But also the other part of this is that John Hurt's character gets to meet the creator of the novel, and Lord Byron and Mary Shelley. So it's like Mary Shelley's in there and Lord Byron and all this whole situation of the monster and everything like that. But it is literally John Hurt has created his own monster with this device, and then he's meeting a man that has created his own monster. So it's kind of like a meld of two sciences that basically they just add each other through it. It's a Roger Corman movie, also.
We did that for you, Green Girl.
Yes,
She's not even here. Oh, she is here.
No, she is there.
She is there.
For you.
Yep. And
Terror's on Netflix as well, I think. Is that true?
Is it on Netflix now? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, Green Girl says it's on Netflix. But yeah, Frankenstein Unbound. Is it available up? You can watch it. No, actually, you can't watch it. It's not. Doesn't look like it's available for streaming.
What?
Probably on the free. You can probably watch it. No.
PBR Street Gang is talking about Penny Dreadful. I think I did see the first part of that.
My wife's Penny Dreadful. She loved Penny Dreadful.
It says it was created for Showtime and Sky. The Penny Dreadful.
Yeah, that was a Showtime. That was you had Showtime. But I know, Snob, you're not into horror, but the next story is about horror. And
It's okay. We can talk about horror. It's no problem.
Yeah, but it is a big deal. This is a big shocker that this was going to happen. It seems like Blumhouse has acquired the rights to Saw from Twisted Pictures. What does that mean? That means James Wan could be doing a new version of Saw, or a sequel to Saw itself. I mean, the IP ownership still is going to be like a 50-50 on that, but you got to remember now, to the point, if you're not familiar, Blumhouse and Atomic Monster are both one company now that they're making movies. You see Megan's coming out, I think in a couple of weeks on there, and there's a lot more stuff on television and in theatrical that they're doing. It's like 50-50 with Blumhouse. They've created some really good stuff, and then some stuff that just like so. And also they get that boost from Universal Studios when they do the Halloween Horror Nights, because that they do the horror section for Blumhouse alone. But this is big because you're gonna have the workings of Lionsgate, Blumhouse, and Atomic Monster in a way working together. As far as this, so what can come out of this? Could we get finally a really good Saw movie? And considering that how gruesome this is, and James Wan had said in an interview years ago, is like, I have books upon books of horrific torture that they went throughout the history of mankind that we could still use for this movie, because most of the tortures that happened in the original Saw movies are stuff that was based on historical torture devices, from the 1500s to the 1800s.
Mm-mm. That's
that
that
sounds
movie not for me.
Yeah, I see. Like the movies like Saw are the least interesting horror, least interesting horror movies to me. Right? That I would probably watch other things, but not.
Well, the thing that I think attracted everyone to Saw was basically the original, which was two guys in some sort of broken down bathroom chained together.
Yeah.
And I think that's what grabbed everyone. I think after James Wan left from the production on this and moved on to the next, it was to the point where it's like, what can we dig out from the 1800s? Torture chambers from the 1800s or the 1700s or the 1600s on there. And Michael says, yeah, Penny Dreadful is good. It was a bit like the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but done right. And they are monsters. Superhero overtones, not so much. Watch it.
Yeah, so that's interesting because the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen had potential, but it just wasn't done right.
No, it wasn't. I still watch it every once in a while, but I was a little disappointed with it. I mean, it was great to see that they had hooked up with the right villain for it, but it's like they took it to an extreme that they shouldn't have gone. With that series on there, they could have done a lot more to that. And I know Sean Connery wouldn't have come back after that one.
Yeah,
on
I
that.
quit.
Yeah, I quit. That's it.
Never
I'm
again.
done. Never again. But you got to remember, Sean Connery has done some unusual films. In throughout his career. I mean, if you remember The Green Knight, which was also they remade, the last couple of years. He was the Green Knight. I don't know if you ever
I
saw
haven't
that.
seen that one, but
You haven't seen that one, The Green Knight?
no.
Yeah, it's basically it's a story that Knight shows up to I think it's Arthur's castle. I think it was on there and says, "Hey, anybody, take me on, chop my head off, and if I survive my head chopping, I'll get to chop your head off." And basically was all of a trick to that point where no knight wanted to step forward, but a squire steps forward, chops his head off, and John Carney comes up, picks his head, puts it back on his body, and he says, "Well, you're a squire. I could kill you right now, but it wouldn't be worth it. You need to be a knight, and once you become that, I'll come back and kill you."
Sounds fair.
Yeah, sounds fair, but it's unusual. It's a little slow, but Sean Connery makes it pretty good watching as the Green Knight on there. All right, well, let's move on a little bit more. Let's get into a main story for today. Now, you guys know King of the Hill is coming back.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming back in
Yeah,
August
I've heard rumors.
on Hulu, and
They're
basically,
redoing it?
yeah,
Or not redoing it.
No, they're continuing it.
they're continuing it.
Bobby's going to be older.
Yeah, Bobby's going to be older. The parents are going to be older. One thing I got to bring up before we get into this, I don't know if there's a curse on King of the Hill.
Yeah,
because
the
there's
Babylon 5 curse.
A lot of people have died. Yeah, a lot of people have died. Brittany Murphy, Tom Petty, the original John Redcorn, and just recently the second voice of John Redcorn, and he was killed. He got shot the other day.
Yeah, he was shot in by a neighbor. They had some sort of argument.
They're still questioning if it was, if it was a hate crime or not. Because supposedly that actor hasn't been, his marbles all not been there as of recent. And it's like when you look at this, and I forgot Dale, the guy who originated Dale's voice, he passed away too, halfway through the production of the revival. They already had done 6 episodes with him. Now they replaced him with another voice actor. And one thing about it, and comic book online had put this out. Another thing that's a problem with the revival is that basically Hulu's going to be dropping this all at one time. And I think that's a major problem. Considering that the reason why this show was so successful, unlike other like Family Guy, American Dad, and all that, is that the pace and the comedic tones of the series was light, but you were able to take it week to week and it was good. And for them to drop it, and there's a great little section here. Let me bring it down. Where's that section? Yeah. King of the Hill is best when it's weekly.
I actually think that applies to most shows. If you want your show to be popular, you got to release it, on a regular schedule, because then people talk about it, buzz builds and stuff like that. If you just drop all of them, then there's a little bit of buzz, and then people are
And it's
like, yeah,
gone.
but I've seen the end, it's gone. People are like, people who don't get into it are like, oh, well, it's already over. No one's talking about it anymore because they've
That's
already
true.
seen the whole thing.
That's true.
I really think that if I was an executive doing streaming, I would take my best shows and they would all go weekly. And if it was, if it's garbage and it's not really that good, I'd be like, yeah, release the whole thing. Who cares? But I would go with weekly. Build some anticipation.
Mm-hmm. But see, the thing is, with King of the Hill itself, like it says in the article at the bottom section there, the pace of the story is what's best when it's weekly. Now, same thing with Futurama's situation, but a lot of people like to binge Family Guy and American Dad and all that. When it comes, excuse me, King of the Hill, the way the story flows is you could take in maybe an episode on the older episode. You might take in like 1 or 2, 3 episodes, and that's the most you can do. You can't ingest the entire series and just sit back on there. You end up crashing before you get to the end, and then that's just because of the way it's written and the way the story flows, which is a little different from a lot of the other series. Which I agree, things should be weekly. It should be week to week. That'll keep everybody in the mind. I mean, we talked yesterday with Mobland. Mobland was week to week, and people are still talking to it today that after the season finale. There's also talk. Tom Hardy, that there was an interview with Pierce Brosnan, and he says, yeah, he would make a great James Bond. And this was an interview talking about Mobland. You get into these conversations. What's next? What's going on? I mean, Bronson and Helen Mirren are both doing another movie that's going to be, I think it's a movie it's a movie that's coming out, and I forgot the name of it. Trailers are just now coming out on it, and they're going to be working together again. And then, of course, obviously, there's going to be a season 2 of this particular one. And that kind of situation, you can't binge Mobland. You can't binge Tulsa King. You can't binge Landman.
Oh, damn. All right. I guess I can't. I got to watch those. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot there to watch.
Damn. I was just going to binge those.
I mean, Landman's coming back, I think, they said November, which is a lot sooner. And they're adding cast members on there. So, Andy Garcia is joining the cast, and a couple of others. I mean, if anything, because we talked yesterday about in the green room about some of the storylines on how woke some things are on there. The Landman's like the opposite, where basically there was a character, and it's online on there, and they talk about green energy versus oil, and there's a great line in there. He's just saying, all this green energy and these things, it takes oil to put all this stuff up. This stuff it's not going to last, anything like that. It's, oil is going to last out everything until there's no more of it, and we don't have anything else to replace it. It's a whole great line on there, because one of the characters is sort of a, green energy fan. And it's a great line. When you get to see it, you'll understand why. But yeah, I mean, you have a series that talks about oil, which, you don't get so much. It's sort of like Dallas, but on the oil fields, and not in the home. Like I don't know if you ever watched Dallas.
Yeah.
Ooh, I just lost myself for a second. But yeah, King of the Hill, getting back to King of the Hill. Yeah, it's coming to Hulu. It's going to be dropped all at once. I'll tell you, fans, if you're out there, everyone that's in the chat and listening on that, take it one per one. Because this one, I think it's going to be rough, because you're going to have a lot of situations here. You got Bobby's a lot older. The parents are older. Supposedly they're coming back from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, that's weird.
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, they supposedly they
was
moved
Hank
out
selling
there.
propane there.
Yeah, they sell
Yes.
propane in Saudi Arabia. That they moved out of the house. Somebody was, because if you see the opening on it, and they moved out, and Black Man moves in, And it's like the way that that opening where they're like all sitting there drinking and like that. Someone had mentioned, why did Dale and everyone disappear where the black man is standing there at one point? It's like, what? Don't insinuate those things yet. Not until we know.
They came back.
Yeah.
Well,
But then,
they also did you see they had the COVID mask thing where they were
Yeah.
like spread out?
It's spread out with the COVID mask. Yeah, that's the other one, the COVID mask and stuff like that. Now, the guys running the shows, they said they will make tribute, they will make notations on the Brittany Murphy, Tom Petty characters. I guess that they'll just mention them in the background or something to that nature at that point. And then, of course, Bobby's a chef in this, supposedly. That he's a chef in Dallas on there. Apparently, the guy moves into their house. His name Mohammed. Okay. Okay, Green Girl. Oh, boy. But, that's the thing, when you looked at the original King of the Hill and the Koreans, I think the Koreans that moved in and, that they were talking back and forth and the way they were saying it was almost like, you're bordering racist at that point, but it was to the point where they're like, okay, but we misunderstand you.
Well, Khan was a racist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he calls him, oh yeah, white hillbilly.
Yeah,
There's
hillbilly.
I don't generally like Canadian programming, TVs. A lot of it's crap. But there's a television show called Kim's Convenience, which is a Korean guy who runs a convenience store, and he is pretty racist too. There's one clip I'm watching where somebody parks he doesn't like the Japanese because they attacked Korea and all this stuff, right? So you park a like he's talking to his daughter. He's like, what car is that? It's parked illegally in the handicap spot. And he goes on a big rant about the Japanese and I call the cops. It's a Japanese car. And then she goes, you bought a Canon camera. And he goes like, yeah, but I got that half priced. I ripped them off, so it's okay. and then they cut to the next day, and there's a car parked in there, and he's like, oh, and she's like, hey, Pop, there's a car parked in the illegally again. And he's like, oh, it's a Hyundai, it's okay. He doesn't care.
That's almost King Convenience is almost like but it doesn't take place in a convenience store, but the way the family talks and the way that this whole situation. There was a series years ago on PBS called Que Pasa USA, and it was about Cubans living in Miami, and it was it just literally the stereotypes would come out on it. I mean, literally, like they talked both Spanish and English in this series. That was one of the things on there because they wanted PBS wanted something that was in a way teaching Spanish, to the viewers onto there.
Like Sesame Street.
Yeah, exactly. But this was a comedy, and it just literally that basically you had characters that just literally were. You had the Cubans and then you had the white people, as they would say, and they would come by and he says, "Hey, it's our white friend," at that point. And the grandparents were just literally from the old country.
Anyone that's ever seen Sanford and Son, a favorite of mine from childhood, knows that kind of racial humor, not racist humor, was well accepted, and people had a sense of humor then.
Yeah, they didn't. You could just. I mean, I like watching what's All in the Family because everything that the idiot meathead says, like he's supposed to be the progressive guy, and but everything that Archie Bunker says about Meathead and his Meathead's progressive style ideas are all proven wrong later. Like we're watching it now, and you're going like, hey. Archie's right,
Now that there was a spin-off series of All in the Family, but from a black point of view.
Jeffersons?
No, not Jeffersons. I got the name of it on there. It took place in the same house. Archie moved out, and a black family moved in, and it was the reverse. The Archie character was a conservative, and the son was a liberal. Or no, vice versa.
That's not a reverse.
No, I'm sorry. The father was the liberal and the son was the conservative.
It was supposed to be the same. It wasn't the same time frame. It was
No, much later. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I'm trying to remember the name because I did a story about it a while back. Family.
Yeah, it's just funny how things kind of go full circle, so to speak. Where people are, you're watching Archie Bunker and you're going, he's right about Meathead. Meathead is an idiot, and none of his stuff will work, and it's gonna, it's about to be proven.
And who knows? Who knew that Meathead was typecast?
Yeah. It was called 704 Hauser. Was the series, and it starred John Amos.
Oh yeah,
yeah. John Amos was started. He played the arch. His name was Ernie Cumberbatch, and then he had a son, Thurgood Marshall. Was his son's name. And Gregory Sierra was also in it. A couple other people. And it was just literally just another version of All in the Family.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I wasn't aware of it.
Most people don't know it. I mean, Archie, All in the Family had so many spin-offs. I mean, you had the Jeffersons, Maude, Gloria. From Maude, you got split into Good Times. Also, is part of that category as well. Most people don't realize that they're technically All in the Family spinned off Good Times, but from the Maude perspective on there, because Wheezy was the maid for Maude, and then they spinned it off.
I didn't know that actually myself, but
they spinned it off from that as well. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys watch MeTV?
Watch which? Sorry,
MeTV.
MeTV. No,
MeTV.
I've seen some.
Okay, on Saturday nights they have Svengoolie. If you're not familiar with that character, Svengoolie. For those of you out there who don't know who Svengoolie is sort of like the Monster Vision type host that he brings you a unusual science fiction or a monster movie of the week. Most of the time, it's classics and all that. They've been starting to get into the 80s with Svengoolie on there.
Do you mean Son of Svengoolie?
No. Yeah, technically he's Son of Svengoolie, but lately the show's been called Svengoolie.
Yeah, sure. Because there was a Svengoolie from way back, right?
Oh yeah, way back. Yeah, no, okay. This is the replacement one. Is the one that in Chicago that this is what's been going on. It's been one of the top shows on MeTV. Everyone watch it. A while back, Svengoolie, they wanted to add more characters to it, so now they call it the House of Svengoolie, and once a month, they do a double feature on Saturday, which is they'll do the regular Svengoolie show, and then they'll do the House of Svengoolie. And generally, the House of Svengoolie does more movies towards the 80s and 90s. Recently, they did Blair Witch Project on House of Svengoolie. Now, this month, for those of you, and I hate to bring this up, it's horror again, but there is on June 21st is the double feature month on there. They're playing Village of the Damned, the 1960s version on there, which is a great film. And for the first time on MeTV, George Romero's Day of the Dead, which we haven't really had a really true zombie movie on MeTV. This would be about the first. I mean, they've had White Zombie, Bela Lugosi, and stuff like that, but a true zombie movie like this, not seen yet. This is like one of the first. This is the conversion with MeTV trying to get more viewers into their channel, because they have 3 channels. You got MeTV, MeTV Plus, and then of course right now, which is really popular, MeTV Tunes. They have their own Tune channel to replace Cartoon Network, which has also been doing very good because they have some great. If you haven't watched MeTV Tunes yet, there's great stuff on there. They got a lot of old Hanna-Barbera. They got Tom and Jerry, and they got old stuff there that you wouldn't believe on there. The Super Friends TV series from season 1 to the last season that they went through, where they had Dark Side on
Oh,
there. All the Saturday
So-
morning stuff on there.
Maybe
But-
you should, Madman. Maybe we should just explain what MeTV is, like big picture, and it's and there's other ones like it, right? I'm
Yeah.
assuming it's what we were talking about before.
MeTV is a classics channel. Now, lately, with the demise of broadcast television and linear TV, as they would say, what has been rising in the background are channels like MeTV. MeTV shows some great, excuse me one second, sorry, classic TV. They have classic TV series on there. If you go to the regular MeTV channel weekdays, you got stuff like MASH, The Andy Griffin Show, Emergency, Adam 12. During the afternoon, right now, as we're talking, they're doing a ton of westerns on there. They're doing Wagon Train. They're doing Gunsmoke and all those great westerns, which is also, that's another thing that's been very popular. On Saturday nights, they do like the Three Stooges marathon, Spenguli, which is the if they do the single one, is it Spenguli? Then they go into the science fiction stuff and superhero stuff. They'll do Batman. They'll do Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, Lost in Space. Some great stuff on there. Now, the MeTV Plus channel, the second channel, has everything else that's not on the MeTV channel on there. Both those two do have Saturday morning cartoon situations. MeTV has a Saturday morning lineup of cartoons from about 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. MeTV Plus has a Sunday night version of it from 8 p.m. to midnight. And like I said, it's a lot of classic stuff on there. The Spenguli is the movie part of it. The third channel, like I said, it is a cartoon network. It's literally a cartoon network with just what Boomerang used to be. If you remember Boomerang. Boomerang used to have all the great classic stuff on there. And basically, MeTV Toons has been very popular. Now, the thing about it is, well, you ask yourself, how do I get this? How do I really get this? Well, the thing about it is, if it's not on your cable service, all you got to do is stick an antenna out your window and you'll be able to pick it up in most territories because it is on the over-air digital antennas. And you'll be able to pick it up easily. Also, it's available, I think, what's it called? Friendly has it on their system, $6.99 a month, for all three of them, plus a lot more on there. But the thing about it is, this is where everything's headed. You have other channels like Heroes and Icons, Comet TV, and many others that are out there in the regular sphere of linear television that's doing much better than the major networks. Right now, MeTV, last I checked with the Nielsen overall, they're around top 20 as far as between broadcast and streaming. And that's
right. So, but like, yeah, you kind of danced around a little bit, but MeTV, correct me if I'm wrong. MeTV is one of these new, somewhat new TV streaming services where they're doing free streaming.
They're not streaming yet.
Usually old TV shows.
They're all TV shows.
It's broadcast, isn't it? Isn't it TV
it's broadcast? No, it's broadcast television. The only streaming is if you get it on Friendly. You can get it on cable or you can get it on antenna.
But some of them are live streamed, right? So they're old shows, so you can only watch at a certain time. It's not like Netflix where you should go and just pick whatever you watch. They've got certain things on at certain times.
No, they have everything. It's by it's a regular network channel. Think of it as a regular
old-fashioned TV.
Old-fashioned.
Right.
It's TBS
but broadcast over
days.
the internet as well.
It's like TBS in the old days when TBS was running old TV shows.
But there's a whole bunch of these services that or channels that are coming up, right?
Yeah, the classic ones have been doing.
Pluto was one of them, right? Pluto TV.
It's no, not Pluto.
Pluto's just streaming, right?
That's streaming. This is Comic TV, which you can get, which is science fiction and horror on there. Heroes and Icons. There's like a TV antenna, which is basically here in New York. We have our network. One of our networks is WPIX Channel 11. And they share a channel over the airwaves, which they're showing classic I Dream of Jeannie, Roseanne, what do they call it? Trying to remember the name of the damn show. Bewitched, on there, the Drew Carey show, and they're showing it there 24 hours. Now, this is all on broadcast television. So if you have an antenna and you run through on there, you can get most of these channels. So they're just literally free over the air if you're able to pick it up on the antenna. Now, as far as cable wise, companies like Fios, Comcast, Spectrum, they do offer all three of those on their systems right now currently. DirecTV, I don't know if they're offering all three. I think they are just offering MeTV. And then depending on what territory you're in, you might get one, you might get both, or you might get all three. But this is what's keeping linear TV alive. The classics, the old school stuff from our youth, stuff from the 50s to the 80s. That's what people are looking at these days. And because basically they're tired of regular television. They're tired of what's on ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox. They're not like it used to be. So what's attracting them? There are people attracted to the TV series Wild Wild West. There's great Western series on there. Or they might want to watch, if they don't watch it on Pluto TV, they can watch Star Trek, at midnight, like the way it used to be when I was a kid, midnight on MeTV on Saturday night on there. It's tailored for anyone to watch this stuff. And now they're moving into, like I said, with the House of Svengoolie, that they're playing more up-to-date movies from the 80s and 90s. They're drawing in more people into their TV show lineup, because they'll say, "Oh my God, Day of the Dead!" I haven't seen that in a long time. I can go see it here, watch it, and get a little bit of interruption in between where people are having fun. Like it used to be in the old days. If you remember the old Svengoolie, the original Svengoolie, or all those old horror TV shows on the weekend where they had a horror TV host. I don't know if you remember that, Snob, on that.
Mm-hmm.
No, you never had one of those up that way?
What?
It was most of the time it was Saturday or late night where they would have like Elvira. Elvira is the perfect example.
Yeah.
Elvira used to host, her show and show a movie. And they did this prior to that, with a lot of other people that have done that. Some have survived, some have not. Svengoolie happens to be one of them. Another one is Creature Features, which airs right here on YouTube, on Fridays and Saturdays, which was the series that was taken from someone else from years ago, from the 1960s and 70s, and now they have newer hosts on there. Yeah, Michael Gonzalez says MeTV anchor station is in Chicago. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
The main company itself is out of Chicago, but they've been expanding outward.
Elvira would be the most well-known one. I don't think we had one of our own. I think we just watched the American ones. I remember having.
Yeah, there have been so
but
many.
Maybe we did. I don't know.
Yeah, if you go through the history of it, there've been so many. And a lot of them, they've passed away on there, and some of them they've passed the torch on to others. Like Creature Features. Creature Features is a passing of the torch, continuation. If you haven't seen that, it's pretty funny because it's they have like a whole gaggle of characters on there. It runs 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
I think Cam would be a great host for that, except he would hate all the movies that he put on. This movie sucks, and he'd stay and watch.
Actually,
if you're stupid,
believe it or not, one of the characters, the butler, because this is in a haunted house type situation. The butler, he just hates everything.
Sounds like a smart guy.
And he says, "Oh, we're doing another bad movie again, aren't we?" Oh my God, it's like that situation. And then when they don't have when the guest doesn't show up, they're like, "Oh, we're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing this from the hilt, aren't we?" And the funny part is that what they've been doing on the Friday version of it. First, they were doing it. There's a character called Tangela, which basically she doesn't talk, but literally she's like Wednesday, but like times 10. Just literally she goes great. And they gave her a Friday slot, what she was doing for a while, and then now in this newer season, they gave it over to the butler. And he starts on the show. Hi, I'm Mr. Livingston, and today we're bringing you this god awful film. Can't believe I'm showing this. And
I like it.
it's pretty fun. And this is the stuff that's out there, and it's free. That's the best part. It's free. With the meat, especially with the meat TV stuff. Some people said, "Well, it's not my territory. I can't get it on antenna." Sometimes you need a better antenna, or you might have to pay a couple bucks just to get it, on the streaming and stuff. But meat TV is working on a streaming app for all 3 channels. So eventually, I think they're going to start with meat TV Tunes, that you'll be able to load an app and watch it via the app live on there. So that's coming. We got to be patient with that. But yeah, that's what's happening these days. But like I said, 21st, June 21st, the double feature. Check it out on there. Now, this is the last thing today. And I think this is very important for those of you, especially you have cable TV. Now, we all know about piracy. People do pirate things out there. And this has come up recently several times. And basically what is happening now is you have companies like Warner, Sony, people in the record business, people in the movie business. They've gotten tired of trying to find the ones that are pirating, or BitTorrent and all that they're trying to put this on the internet. So now they're trying to go after, basically, yeah, there we go. Michael knows the story with Spenguli. Yeah, Jerry Bishop. That's who I couldn't think of. And Rich Cause is the latest. But now the companies that the IP holders want to go after the ISP users. In other words, you, the cable customer, because they think that you're the one that's doing it, that your ISP is the one that's downloading all this illegal content. Now, there's a lawsuit that was out, and it's basically settled now through Frontier Communications. They've settled it with the record labels, and they've also settled with Hollywood. Basically, we don't know what is in the settlement to that point, but the original lawsuit was they wanted Frontier to basically cancel people's accounts, shut down their internet service, or basically downloading stuff. Now, that's all fine and dandy if they're able to catch the people, but here's the situation. It's called the VPN. How do you know that the person that is downloading, that you claim to have their ISP address, is that person ISP? Or is that the person that is actually downloading? It could be someone else in the neighborhood jacking internet service illegally from that person, which basically I tell people, remember, put a password on your Wi-Fi so don't leave it open. I mean, this is a big issue. And this is going to be pulled up to the Supreme Court down the line. I think, because what is it? Sony won a case against Cox Communications on a lawsuit similar to this. And
it's going to be a big one. Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be a big situation. Your internet's, you, the customer, is going to be told that says, sorry, we can't have your business anymore because Sony and Warner thinks that you stole their product and put it, into your computer.
Yeah.
But not realizing is you don't know who's doing it. You don't have the proof. They say, well, we have the proof. I said, no, you don't. You don't 100% know without, really going into the person's house, and you're not going to get that kind of, warrant for that.
Not in America. That's for sure.
Not in the USA. Well, this lawsuit's mostly the USA. Let me take a drink here 1 second.
You might get that. You might be able to. Maybe in Britain, you might be able to get away with it.
Yeah, Britain maybe, but not in the US. Most of these lawsuits are the US.
Yeah.
Because there have been lawsuits left and right. And the funny part is, you have Crunchyroll, who used to be a pirated site and became a legitimate site, is now suing pirated sites for content that is taken off Crunchyroll. Speaking of that one, on that one in itself. But you know, these ISP situations is getting way out of hand, and basically, you have cable companies like, you know, we're going to get sued if we take away someone's internet service and they didn't do any of this. You know, it's like Mrs. Johnson from the corner who's, you know, 65, 70 years old, who just maybe watches something on the internet every once in a while.
Or
uses
has no knowledge of how this stuff works, and maybe her you know, her 20-year-old neighbor's stealing her Wi-Fi.
exactly.
She never noticed it because
Exactly, and this is, you know, the whole ridiculous situation, and this is why I think the Supreme Court is going to side with the cable companies. I mean, even the Trump administration is saying like, that you're going a bit too far.
yeah,
You're going too far on this.
and then it'll just, you know, the VPN companies will like it because people will just, then of course they'll just try going after the VPNs, but
You can't really go after the VPNs because the VPNs
it'll be-
are legitimate. I mean,
be tough.
they're legitimate. The only thing you can do with the VPNs is you try to block the VPNs.
yeah,
But the VPNs are going to, you know, they're going to do, you know,
they're gonna be
roundabout.
upset about it. Yeah,
You know, that, I mean, there's right now with the age verification laws that are coming out in certain websites that they said, well, you know, we're going to geo-lock our website out of your state. And they're like, oh, and then there was people that said, yes, we got rid of them. You got rid of them. He said, no, sorry, it's called the VPN. You haven't got rid of them. You just got rid of the access via your state, but people can still access it if they use a VPN.
Yeah.
You know, to that point. That's another
All right.
story in itself, which we've been covering on Madman with the show. We have a lot of that coming up very soon on there. We got another story coming up on that next week on that too.
we have to end the show. Snow
Yeah.
has to be out of here. Do you want to? What did you have your show?
Yes, tonight. Yeah,
Promo
6
for
p.m.
it?
tonight. Taco Thursday. We'll be talking about Crunchyroll taking it to the next level, that they're starting a licensing war with content on there, which is an interesting situation. And we got another story behind it, but that's next week, which is basically Crunchyroll is a monopoly, which that's coming soon. We're going to be working on that on there because literally they own 75% of the content coming out of Japan as far as anime, and that's not a good thing to that point. But that's coming soon. Taco Thursday, 6 p.m. right here on YouTube, and if you're on Rumble, you can watch it there at the same time.
Yeah, and if you're interested in these issues, you know, some of the stuff you brought up, man, is areas that you know, censorship and you know, these kind of areas are things that you're, you know, more interested in and more focused on more than we do. So if you if you're interested in those, go over to the show, check it out. Do you have,
Go over
do you have a
that.
link?
Let me see if I can put my link up here.
I don't know if you can you might not be able to put the link in the.
Oh yeah, that's right. I can because I'm not.
You know what? Put it in the private
right.
chat, and Cam and I'll do it because we don't have you as a. I don't have you set up as a
Yeah. Let me just
thing, but
I'll share it
yeah,
over
put
there.
it in the regular in the private chat, and we'll just copy it over.
Yeah, let me
So
grab
go
that.
check it out if you're interested in those topics. That'd be great.
Let's see.
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
we have a lot during the week. Monday through Thursday, we have those type of topics that we're talking on right now. Whoops. Sorry about that. Like that was an episode.
Yeah, just dump it in the private chat, and we'll I'll copy and paste it over. Yeah. All right, and we'll just do outro as we're doing it. That's it for the show. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We're just covering in for Jason a little bit. I think he's back today or tomorrow. Cam put it up there. Thank you, Cam.
Thank you, Cam.
Yeah,
Sure.
he's supposed to be back today. I don't know if he's going to have a show tomorrow or not. I'm not sure, but check out his channel.
The plan was to come back on Monday for Jason.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Monday. All right. Well, we had fun sitting in for him, and we'll have our regular show, of course, the Top Lofty Lounge on Sunday. Not sure what we're going to do, what our topic is yet, but I hope we'll figure it out at least, 20 minutes before the show, hopefully. At least that one time. And of course, next week we have our Babylon 5 wrap up. No more of this show. This show is just something we dust off whenever Jason goes on hiatus. So, next time he's on hiatus, maybe we'll dust it off too. But
I was having fun.
I know. Work on Jason. Maybe he can. Yeah. And then Babylon 5, we have the wrap up next week. We're going to talk about wrap up season 1, talk about it. And then we got to go on from there. I'm not sure we're going to go on to season 2. I'm not sure if we're going to jump right into it. Probably we will, but we're working on it. All right. Okay. I hope everyone enjoyed the show. Thank you. That's it for today.
Yep. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Good afternoon, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
Subscribe, like, share.
All those good things.
Yep.